after that 40 time, your stock was already rising, but now it's booming. I'm seeing you all over the place late in the first round. So appreciate you coming in. How you been?
I've been doing good. Thanks for having me, first off. And, first time out here in New York, so it's been great so far. Just a good opportunity. It's my last stop, so I'm kind of excited. And, this is awesome. I appreciate you having me on.
So the fun starts once you get out of here. Maybe you go get some pizza.
Yeah, right, maybe. We've been second pizza stop. We just made 2 pizza stops. There's some other food spots. Kind of just been all over, the ton of walking. Yeah, that's like the one thing.
Welcome to the city.
Ton of walking, ton of traffic. Yeah.
If you want to avoid the traffic, just get to walking. If you want to go to Katz's Deli, maybe get a pastrami sandwich with some mustard. It's a staple. It's an iconic place. So trust me, we could talk off the air. I'll give you 9,000 food recommendations. I'm a big fella just like yourself. So I know how to eat properly. But what has this rise been like for you? You know, the transfer portal process. You're at a smaller school, then you go to Florida State. And not only was Florida State back on the map this year, you really got put on the map.
Yeah, for sure. It's been surreal. Definitely been surreal just kind of going through the whole process, and especially from where I started, entering the transfer portal from Western Michigan. I mean, there was a lot of goals I set for myself and a lot of aspirations I had made, but it's a lot of things I manifest. I've been trying to plan for this for so long, and the more, closer I got, the more things started to happen. And I kind of say it a lot, the harder I work, the luckier I seem to get. And, it's just been something that's kind of built and built and built. And, I kind of got up to this point, and it's just like it's starting to boom, and it's, it's insane. But trying to take it day at a time, trying to live in the moment as much as I can. I mean, especially getting the opportunities like this to be out in New York and, seeing everything I am and just being able to meet all the people I've been able to meet. And just, the 2 days I've been out here has been incredible. But, it's unbelievable, and especially for even my parents, trying to, because they're home trying to see all this go down. I'm trying to keep them in the loop. I mean, it's honestly incredible.
It's really cool, and it's well-deserved, because your stats have always been in a pretty good spot, but you just didn't get the recognition. And then the Senior Bowl happens, the Combine happens, and I sit there and I'm like, why didn't he get the recognition earlier? We shouldn't. This is what I hate with the draft process.
Right.
It shouldn't just be the Senior Bowl and the Combine. People need to go watch your tape and see the impact that you made on the field all throughout the
year. And I see that a lot too, of guys oh, he had one good year. I mean, but I had better stats, previous years at Western Michigan, and nobody noticed. But of course, you get the platform, you get the the notoriety from a bigger school. It's oh, so he actually is a good player, and that's kind of been the story of my whole career. Coming out of high school is going to a small Division I school, Western Michigan in the MAC, he doesn't play good enough competitions. All right, well, he makes the jump to Florida State. It's all right, let's see if he can play with the big boys. Go play with the big boys. And coming out of there, it's all right, well, we want to see him against the best. We want to see how athletic he is. So Senior Bowl, Combine, it's I'm just trying to check every box. So far I think that's kind of been, just what I've been able to do, and it's been a crazy experience.
Sometimes, as Braden Fiske is in the studio with us, is projected to be a first-round pick, was a stud this past year at Florida State. Sometimes guys are late bloomers, and it takes a while for people to realize their full potential. Did you always know the type of player you could be, or was there a moment in the last few years where you said, wow, I actually got a chance to go play in the NFL one day?
No, I've definitely had this overwhelming belief in myself for the longest time. And, I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of people in my corner that have a lot of belief in me and always told me, just stay true to your path. And there's a lot of times that, you get so many people just keep being you. You're like, man, I've been being me for a long time. It still ain't happening. I'm going into my 6th year of college football, and I'm still waiting on my shot. But, luckily I've been able to realize, over my time, and everyone runs their own track. Everyone's track's a little different. And, for mine, it took 6 years to get here, and, everything I laid out happened when it did, and that's okay. When I got into college, my thing was, I'm going to do 4 and get out of there. Year 4 came, I was like, I'll do one more. Year 5. And year 5 came, I was like, all right, last year, luckily I had the COVID year to get that 6th year in, and, get to go to Florida State, and it kind of changed my life. But, it's
So with this journey, and you look at the rise that you've had and how many years of hard work that you put into it, when you look back at all those years of college football, what's the moment that you look back at and you say, okay, that's the thing I'm most proud about with your career?
Honestly, the ACC championship game, I mean, that was the final, draw the curtains, moment for me. Is my whole college career, even from high school, Pop Warner days, that was the finally, I've been waiting on a breakout game. I've had great games in the past, sure, but on that moment, on that stage, in front of that many people, my family, for where Florida State was, to where we're trying to, get it back to, to have that game when I did, that was the one moment in my career I was like, man, it happened. We finally did that. And it's something you never know that's going to happen. You have a game like that. You prepare, you stay consistent. And, like I said, you never know what's going to happen. When it finally does, you're like, oh, man. Like, as soon as I made the second play of the game, I was like, all right, we're going to have a day. You can just feel it's like the X factor turned on. But, so, yeah, that was definitely the one moment in my career of just like, yeah, here we go.
I was talking to your old coach, Mike Norvell, a few weeks ago, and I said, I hate how we talk about the Florida State season from a year ago because no one remembers the great games, right? That epic game against Clemson and everything else that you guys were accomplished. You were undefeated because everyone just remembers that image of him sitting when you guys didn't get in the college football playoff.
Right.
And he didn't say anything. You just saw the look in his eyes and his hands were getting real tense. It's so unfortunate you being in that room that day. Just what do you recall from it when you guys found out you weren't one of the 4 teams selected?
I mean, it was terrible because, I mean, we were riding the high of the championship game. We're thinking, oh, we're an easy in now, right? Like, and I mean, the ESPN broadcast is there because we're thinking, oh, we're ready for the celebration. People are walking in the room and it's, get the drinks ready. Like that type of celebration. Like let's go. And the first team of Michigan goes up, then Washington goes up. We say, okay, cool. Like 3 or 4 were in that range, then. Boom! Texas goes up. Once Texas hit, was like, oh boy, like
yeah, they weren't leaving Alabama. Yeah, they weren't leaving the SEC.
You could see the kind of the lean backs in the chair of like, oh, what's going on here? And then, yeah, as soon as we saw, I was like, damn, that's you just knew. I mean, it's horrible just because you go into the season with all these goals and aspirations. You go 13-0. You do everything that you're told to do, and then you're just left out, which. It's in the past. It's unfortunate, but like the one thing that hurts is like that team will never be together again. That coaching staff. Training staff, they just like as a program combined, they'll never be together again. That's what sucks the worst, for sure.
Tell me about the first moment, because the transfer portal, and I've talked about this with Mike Norvell before, as Braden Fiske is in the studio with us, it's like speed dating. Like, you got to make a decision. You got to make it quickly. You think you're making the right decision, but through time, you'll know if it's the right decision. How did Mike Norvell, put aside the money, put aside NIL and all that stuff, how did Mike Norvell sell you and wanting to take a ride on that journey to Florida State for a year?
Yeah, I mean, sitting kind of how we are. He's sitting in my kitchen with me and my dad, and he's just like staring contests, just banging on the table, give me all the reasons, why I need to come to Florida State, and just the intensity. He brought a different intensity to any other coach I'd met with. A lot of coaches, they kind of put on the recruiting act, and they want to be your friend, they want to be friends with your family, which is cool. But Mike Norvell, I mean, he's sitting in my kitchen. He's like, no, I'm going to coach you. I want to coach you. Like it's all business with him, and he gives you that 1,000-mile stare straight through you, and you just, yeah. I mean, what I was looking for in my last year was exactly what I want. I knew he was going to push me. I mean, I wasn't looking for the craziest NIL contract. I was looking for somebody that was going to put me in the NFL. Give me the best year, and I wanted to win. I hadn't won in my college career, and I could tell like, no, this place is going to be a winner just by what he was talking about, who they were bringing back, and who they were bringing in the transfer portal. I was like, no, something special could be built here, and I just wanted to be a part of it. I thought it was going to be awesome, and it turned out to be better than I could have ever imagined.
So you guys have this great season, an unfortunate ending that was out of your control. And then once the college football playoff ends, Nick Saban retires. Right. And then there's some thought that Mike Norvell is going to be the next coach at Alabama. Now, it didn't go that way. DeBoer ends up getting the job coming over from Washington. But now that Norvell is there to stay, to be the guy at Florida State, what emotion does it elicit for you?
It's huge. I think, that's the greatest decision Florida State could ever made, is being able to keep him around long term. Because, I mean, from just my experience, I mean, he's going to be one of those coaches talked about in 30, 40 years of like, man, like just what he was able to do, what he's able to accomplish. I have no doubt he's going to win a national championship or 2 or 3, and maybe more. But he just has it about him. Like, he's consistent. Everything he does in the building, like, he makes everybody in that building better, and that's including all sports. Like, he demands it out of everybody. I mean, every day you walk in the building, he's the first guy in the lobby yelling "Good morning" to everybody, and he demands it. And like, the energy he brings, like it's a trickle effect. I mean, it goes from him to the coaching staff to like the rest of the support staff, whether that's the training room, the academics room, whatever it may be, and like it trickles down to the players, and like everyone holds each other accountable. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's crazy. I mean, I spent 5 years in one program, and going from that to Florida State was like, I mean, just completely culture change, just to see how it was ran, and how guys are bought in. And I mean, you look at our team, most of our team was built up of transfers. I mean, you look at our starting 22 from offense and defense. I mean, it was, I would say, probably 17 of the 22 were guys that had transferred, whether they're 1, 2, or 3 year transfers. Like, that's pretty crazy to be able to build that in such a short period of time. And it's a testament to him, like what he's able to do. And I think that will be by far the best decision that Florida State ever makes, is having Norvell there long term.
And you know what I love too? You talk about the transfers. DJU is now going to Florida State. Because I'll be real with you, Braden Fiske. I used to like Clemson. Yeah. Like when they first came onto the scene with Deshaun Watson and then Trevor Lawrence, like they were a fun story. But Dabo, the last few years, has become so insufferable. I would love to see DJU just get some payback on Clemson.
Right. No, I mean, I think he was just for him and just the way his career has gone. I mean, and selfishly for Florida State to be to win a national championship, I love for him. I mean, win a Heisman, hell, do whatever you want. I mean, whatever you are to be successful. I mean, I love it because. I mean, that's a place I'm going to go back to, and a place I call home, and it's a place of familiarity. I mean, that place embraced me, and with open arms, and ever since I played there from now. I mean, the amount of love and support I get from there, I want the ultimate success for them, and obviously, if that means DJU whipping up on Clemson, I'm all for it.
A 4.7840. How the heck?
4.75 officially.
Oh, okay.
Officially.
Sorry, I screwed you over there for a second.
I need those 3 tenths.
How the heck did you do that? Did you know that you could run that fast?
Yeah, I knew I was going to run that. I mean, well, I say that, but it took it took a lot of work. But that was the goal going into. When we first started, when I got there January 1st and we did our pre-test, I ran a 5.02. That was my pre-test. But I told Pete, my trainer, I was like, no,
you can do better.
I can do I can get a 4. There's no way I couldn't. Seeing the pre-test made me mad. I was like, no, there's no way that's how slow I am. And then just the work that was put in and. I mean, each week that I'm down to training, you get a little faster, a little bit better. You keep tracking your times, and I'm creeping up on them 4.7s. And once we hit that last mock combine before the actual one, I was in the 4.7 range. I was like, all right, we're gonna do it. And then obviously when I went out there, I was feeling great. Because the whole point of the training you do is to peak up to that point.
Yeah.
And with everything built in, I followed every rule that we had to that was dialed in for us. And sure enough, that 4.7 hit, and it was
And they made a big deal about the when you crossed the finish line, the broadcast. You would have thought you were a WWE superstar screaming, "Oh yeah!" But it was a really subtle, "Oh yeah." You knew in that moment, man, I just killed it.
Yeah, I knew after the first 10, I was like, "All right, we're rolling." I felt
that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, because you run them so much in training, every little detail of how you're feeling when you're running, where your arm swing is, where your leg drives out. I was like, no, I'm running right now. Even through the 20, I was like, yeah, we're rolling. And the big thing that we're trained is keep your head down and don't look up. And as soon as I just felt the cross, I was like, yeah, we did that. We hit it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So for people that haven't seen you play, or a defensive lineman doesn't get highlighted, when you're just an average fan watching, you have to describe your game. When Braden Fiske gets onto a football field, what type of player are you?
I would definitely consider controlled chaos. We're just out there. I mean, relentless. Just out there flying to the ball. That's one thing about my game is I like to call myself a sideline defensive tackle. You just don't see it often. There's not a play out there I don't feel like I can't make, and I just we get to the ball whether I could be on one hash, I'm running to the numbers to make a play, or at least get in the camera frame. I was always taught to be in the camera frame at the end, and that's something I just try to bring to my game because you get to the ball, good things happen. Whether it's turnovers or just getting a hat on the ball, whatever it may be. It's just opportunities are there when you get to the ball, so that's just something I really believe in.
So you're taller than Aaron Donald. But weight-wise, you guys are somewhat similar.
Probably in a similar range, yeah.
Do you kind of use that to your advantage? Because when you think defensive tackle, typically you think 6'4", 360 pounds, Ted Washington was 20-something years ago. So how do you kind of use your size or lack of it to an advantage?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's all about just the speed I play in my game. My get off is one of the most important assets of my game. Is I like to say just beating the guy to the punch. I mean, beating the double teams to the punch and pass game. Beating them to a set. It's all a combination of using my speed to my advantage because that's going to be a lot of my game. And I mean, I realize I'm not the 320, 330 pound guy out there. I'm not going to be overimposing, in the run game. But if I can beat you to the punch and then have the most precise technique, then I got a good shot to win because. I mean, that's how I have to win. That's how that's what I've modeled my game after, and it's because what I knock the details. That's how I go about my game, and that's kind of worked up to this point. You just got to keep sharpening it.
I've done some homework on you. I know that you grew up as a Colts fan.
Oh yeah,
so I'm a Patriot fan, but we could still sit here.
Yeah,
we could still have a good conversation.
For sure.
But I won't hold it against you, even though they're my least favorite team in the NFL, going back to the Brady Manning whole rivalry. But who is a player now in the league that you kind of model your game after, you kind of look up to?
Right, big Zach Sealer fan from
Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
Yeah, solid player. He was at Ferris State. We kind of made a connection when I was up there at Michigan or Western Michigan, and just kind of been following his career. I mean, he was a guy that early on in his career, he was, cut a couple times. I don't know if you heard the story, like living out of an RV, just trying to make the team, and now he's on a second contract. I mean, he's a 10-sack guy this past season, and I mean, he's just a baller. Like, it's just like the way he plays the game, he plays up and down the line, he runs to the ball. I play very similar to the way he does. And it's just something I like to model my game after. And same with a guy like Max Crosby, just the motor he plays with, the intensity he plays with. I mean, a lot of the plays he can make are just based off of sheer effort and, sheer will and want to get to the ball. And, that's something I love about both their games is, like one way or another, they're going to get it done.
There's nothing wrong with going to a smaller school. Like I went to Temple. A lot of my friends that played on the Temple football team ended up.
To us, it's not a big deal. But, the outside world is, he didn't play anybody. Yeah.
Exactly. But, I don't mind having a player that was overlooked, and has a little extra chip on his shoulder and feels like he gets slighted. But why did you think in your recruiting process, looking back at it, you had to go to Western Michigan first before landing at Florida State?
Well, I think it started because I was a 230-pound offensive lineman in high school. I mean, that was probably the first issue, but I think it was hard for teams just to project what I was going to be. Like, I mean, I was like 6'3", 6'4", 230 pounds playing offensive line because my high school coach didn't believe in the two-way player. And it was just the best situation for my high school at the time was, we needed to play offensive line. You'd be a pulling guard, pulling tackle, and, trap situations and power situations. So, but when I went to Western Michigan, my D coordinator, Lou Esposito, was like, hey, just come to the camp. Just try it out. And, I did both sides of the ball. I did offensive line, defensive line, and one-on-ones. And he saw something in me. They offered me on a Monday, and the next Friday, I committed. I said, no, like the first school offered me must want me. And that was kind of late in the process because, I've been going to like 30, 40 of those one-day camps that, the coaches watch you at and they kind of just write you off as once they weigh you in, you're like, okay. And you go out there, run around, and but no, I mean, luckily I was, that was the greatest thing that happened to me because Western Michigan, Kalamazoo, they put me in the position I'm in today. I mean, I spent 5 years there, so the development that I had there, just not even as just a player, but as a man, like it changed me, and I think I'm just very grateful for that experience.
So I don't know how much you pay attention to the mock drafts. You can't be reading them religiously.
I noticed them.
But I've seen you somewhere in the 20s, the late 30s, and I've seen you just outside of there.
Yeah.
Where do you think? Like, do you have any sense on where you're going to end up going?
It's so wishy-washy. I wish I did because, the amount of people that ask me where you're going, I'm just like, I have no. I mean, you can't know. But, I mean, I think with the work that's been put in, the body of work, everything I've been able to accomplish, I think maybe in that range. I wish I could give you a solidified answer. I really have no idea.
Have there been a few teams that you've talked to, maybe more than the others?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, I definitely, have talked a lot to the, Seahawks, Steelers, Vegas a little bit, but really all 32 because everyone plays their cards differently. I mean, like private workouts, whatever it may be. Like you just know, like some teams have interest, but they don't want to play their cards because they don't want to let another team know, how interested they are, whatever it may be. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what happens. It's gonna be an interesting day.
Yeah. What do you think you're going to do for it? Are you going to the draft?
That's kind of the
You're waiting to see if the invite's extended.
Right. The ground kind of that's kind of where we're playing the waiting game. Like if I am invited, do you want to go? Like because I've been telling my team like damn like do I want to be the guy that's sitting there at 25, 26, 27 in the green room? You got the camera panned on you, looking all depressed with your family.
It's torture.
Right, and then when the whole time, I'm thinking, maybe I could just be at home, my family and friends having a good time. But then the conversation's brought up of, what if you don't go and you just sit there like, damn, I wish I would have been there just for the experience, because there's only 32 guys that get to go up there and shake the commissioner's hand and like walk on the stage and just get that picture taken. I mean, that's once in a lifetime opportunity. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. I mean, I see the both sides could be super cool, but I guess we'll try to make that decision as it comes.
So who was your favorite Colts player growing up?
Surprisingly, Bob Sanders. I was a big Bob Sanders fan.
He was phenomenal.
He was awesome. I mean, I think he won Defense Player of the Year in like 2007. And that's where he flew around. And, it was unfortunate his career was riddled with injuries. But, man, he was a baller. And obviously, Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis were big. And then Gary Bracken. I love the Colts teams. Like that was like a huge part of my childhood. I idolized those teams. And, I mean, there's just so many studs. And I wish they could have won a couple more Super Bowls. But I had to run into y'all boys.
Yeah, it was a few they couldn't
get
the job done.
That was an era of football that was an unreal era of like just competition.
So last thing I'll ask you, and Braden Fiske is joining us in studio, is phenomenal. Had a great season this past year at Florida State, rising up the draft boards. The 40 time was just absolutely insane. I'm a GM, and I say to you, why should I use a first-round pick on you? What's the answer you give me?
I just think what I bring to the table from a maturity standpoint, I mean, I think I've been able to polish my game up to this point in my career and just what I bring into the locker room from a leadership standpoint. I mean, you're getting a pro from day one. I'm not somebody that there's going to be off-the-field issues. I'm not a young guy that doesn't know how to deal with, being somewhere on time. I'm not somebody that doesn't know how to deal with injuries. I've been through the injuries. I know how to rehab. I get what it takes to, be a pro and just what it means to be in a locker room with guys and, having the same common goal. Like I'm not the, the me guy. I'm a we guy. And, that's something I can bring from day one. And I think I could be an instant impact. I've seen so much ball. You hand me a playbook, I'm going to have it ready. Like just everything from, just being a pro standpoint, I think it's something I bring from day one. And, I can't wait to get into a locker room, no matter where I'm picked, because I know like the instant impact I can have and just how I'm going to treat it from day one. Like I'm going to find a vet from day one, and we're going to get to work. I'm going to take all the information I can, and I'm just ready to go. I've been waiting on this moment for a long time.
Now I've been waiting to bring this up, and I'll make it my last question here with Braden Fiske. See, I read all these scouting reports, and for you, they're like short arms. I don't see the short arms.
I don't. I mean, that's all I hear. But it's funny because. You hear from the scout side, the guys, they have to look at all the analytics. And,
Stupid process.
You're right. They're the ones that care so much about the, arm length. But you talk to D-line coaches, they're like, I don't care, man. You play in the interior, like, you're good. And that feels better because, you hear it enough times, you're like, damn, man, do I really got is that really going to be that big of an issue? Like, what's going on? But when you hear, get confirmation from the right people, it's like, yeah, the scouts don't know what they're talking about.